Barefoot sandals. We love them. Yep, even Josh. And that means we both got to put a whole bunch of barefoot hiking sandals to the test this season. That's what these sandals were designed for, after all. These are purpose-built for trails. Of course, always hike smart, no matter your footwear choice. But if you want to hike in sandals like I do about, I don't know, 98% of the time it's warmer than 60 degrees, well then here are some of our faves that are both vegan and more sustainable in some way. Starting with the newest barefoot sandal from Xero Shoes, the H-Trail. I was actually super excited to test these because we've reviewed the Z-Trek and Z-Trail before, and I love those, but because they don't have anything to stop your feet from sliding forward, no toe plug, they're not exactly designed for aggressive terrain or big hikes. They make excellent camp and soft adventure sandals though, especially if you don't generally like things between your toes. But the H-Trail, they're designed more with that classic Huarache style in mind, with a thong strap to keep your foot in place. They're super versatile and can be worn with just about anything since they're black. They're highly adjustable with a slider on the ankle strap, tension loop on the toe strap, and hook and loop on the heel. They're also stupendously flexible, have just a touch of squish on the footbed for comfort, and have pretty decent lugs on the soles for how light they are, just 5.5 ounces per sandal for a women's 7. I will say though that while they felt pretty secure and my feet didn't feel like they were sliding around too much, the tension straps did tend to loosen a bit after a while. I had to tighten them up at least once per hike. Just a little, but it was noticeable. They do feel the most like wearing nothing though, which I love. And honestly, these will probably be my go-to daily and soft adventure sandals, honestly. Definitely my camp sandals when like backpacking. I will say the footbed shape is kind of weird though. Not super foot shaped, honestly. For me, anyway. Now, if your second toe is longer than your first, then the shape makes a lot more sense. But it's weird. The heel supports are also pretty wide. Now, my foot actually had room to slide from side to side back there, so if you have wider feet, these will probably fit more securely. And I will say that since I do have skinny feet, I have both Velcro straps pulled as tight as they'll go, so the H-Trail doesn't have the widest range of adjustability. Also good to note, I wear at least a size smaller in Xero sandals than in any of their other shoes. None of this is a deal breaker, just something to note. Also, they come with Xero's 5,000-mile warranty, so they're designed to last, and that means fewer sandals in landfills, which is a plus.
I tested the Elite Ibex from Shamma, which has a thicker sole, 13 millimeters, with extra deep lugs for traction. Maybe the most aggressive tread of any of the sandals I tested, actually. But they still offered maybe the most flexibility despite that, but without having to feel every single tiny pokey rock. So this specific sole would probably be great for those transitioning or who like the minimalist functionality without such an extreme barefoot experience. There are other sole options available in the Elite lineup, though, if you prefer something thinner. The 3 adjustment points, there's one on the forefoot strap, the heel strap, and instep, made it easy to dial in the right fit. I think they're the fastest and easiest to adjust on the fly, and the Velcro adjustments helped ensure nothing loosened up or started slipping during use, which was nice. Also, Shammas are repairable and made in the USA. They're only available in black, which honestly I don't mind. It goes with everything, sure, but only offering one color is also more streamlined and less wasteful than constantly releasing new colors and patterns. They're maybe the ones I liked least in terms of fit and comfort, though, maybe because the ankle strap felt too low on my ankle, and I found the toe plug a bit uncomfortable at first. Alicia didn't have any problem with the toe strap, though, so maybe I'm just not as used to the feeling as she is. The toe area is also the widest on these of the sandals we're talking about, so if you have wider forefeet and toes, you may find these fit best. But again, the heel posts are a bit on the narrow side, so keep that in mind.
I tested the Numa Warriors from Shamma Sandals. The Warriors are the thinnest sole from the brand at 6mm, which I tend to like better. I tested another Shamma model, the Trailstar Alphas, a couple years ago, and didn't care for it as much due to the thicker sole and the toe loop, but that's just me. I actually did love the look of those. The Numa, however, no matter what thickness of sole you choose, and there are several options available, is pretty comfy on foot thanks to this elastic forefoot strap that not only lets the sandals move with your foot, but makes them super easy to slip on and off. In fact, that's kind of the sandals' biggest selling point. Now, that functionality was great and makes them an excellent daily adventure sandal, a camp sandal, that sort of thing. But because there's some give there, they don't perform quite as well on aggressive terrain and steep trails. That's just the nature of this specific style. Maybe if you added on one of their power straps, it would help a bit, but I would reserve these for easy strolls, not necessarily big hikes or trail running. They just didn't feel as secure. My foot slid around on the footbed too much on rocky trails. And while the forefoot area is pretty dang wide, the heel posts, these things right here on either side of your ankle area, aren't. They were nice and snug, actually, which is nice if you have narrow feet like I do. Not so nice if you have extra wide feet, I guess. As for ground feel and flexibility, both are great with this Warrior sole. I mean, they're flexible, lightweight, have decent ground feel while still being pretty protective, and they really let you feel connected to the ground beneath your feet, and for that reason, I'm a pretty big fan. Now, these are going to be most popular with folks who maybe don't want to tackle intense trails, but are looking for a barefoot sandal that's easy to wear, is more functional than flip-flops, and can handle easy adventures.
On to the Bedrock Cairn Evo sandals. Alicia has also tested the Cairn sandals, and they were never her favorite, but that's because they lean more toward the minimalist side of things as opposed to a true barefoot sandal. Yes, they are zero drop, offer plenty of room for the toes to spread, and the regular footbed, as opposed to the 3D footbed, doesn't feature any arch support or anything like that. But the soles are pretty thick and fairly dense, meaning they're just barely the least flexible I tested. But just because she doesn't appreciate that doesn't mean no one else will. In fact, if you want the health benefits of minimalist shoes but aren't too keen on feeling every rock and pebble under your feet with every step, these may just be the thing. They're definitely burlier and more rugged with heavier duty straps than some of the other options, so I have no doubt they'll last for years and years. But Bedrock also offers repairs, so if the sole starts to separate or the straps get sliced, you can send them in to be fixed instead of buying a whole new pair. They come in plenty of colors, and the straps are adjustable via hook and loop on the heel, a tension strap on the forefoot, and a G-hook on the instep. Basically, they're super easy to fit to your foot and won't go anywhere once you do. They also got a few updates this year by way of a whole new fit and sizing system and a grippier sole. Plus, they're made in the US and have a warranty for the lifetime of this sole, in addition to being repairable. The footbed is surprisingly just a touch squishier than the Luna Mono. They feel very secure on my feet when hiking on dry or wet trails, including in water. And the sole was sticky enough that I could walk over wet stones in the river and not slip around. The toe loop is paracord as opposed to webbing like the others I tested, so it's maybe not as comfortable, but I really appreciate the ease of adjustment all around. They also have the widest heel / instep of any of the sandals I tested, so if you have wider feet, this may be the way to go.
I've said it before and I'll say it again, the barefoot sandals from Deliberate Life Designs are some of my favorite ever. Frankly, their brand new version, which utilizes upcycled climbing webbing donated by Black Diamond, have fully cemented that position in my mind. That webbing would have just ended up in a landfill otherwise, so huzzah! Thanks, Black Diamond! Now, there are two models in this new lineup, the Onsight and Insight. These are the thinner Onsight, by the way, which are 7 millimeters thick. Now, DLD is also a super small brand based in Vermont, and I love small brands. What I love even more is that Deliberate Life not only offers different foot shapes to choose from, so you can order sandals that best match the slope of your toes, but you can also get a fully custom footbed, so they're guaranteed to fit perfectly. They'll even keep your preferences on file, so if you want to order another pair in the future, you don't have to go through the whole process again. Like, what? Yeah, it makes these sandals a tad bit more expensive than a few of these other options, but honestly, worth it. Especially when you consider how soft and flexible these new straps are. I mean, they feel so nice, not stiff or scratchy at all. And when paired with the extremely flexible soles with stupendous ground feel, they're just barefoot goodness to the max. Plus, the footbed has just a touch of anti-slip traction to prevent sweaty feet from sliding around. They're at least as flexible as the Xero sandals, but feel more secure on your foot. They're not as easily adjustable though, and take a bit more effort to loosen and tighten if you want to take them on and off. That said, I mostly found I didn't have to mess with the straps at all to do so. But if you do prefer an easier slip-on and off sandal, these aren't quite as helpful in that department as some of the other options. But if you like color and pattern, these are your sandals. There are a whole bunch to choose from. Seriously, I'm a huge fan. These sandals right here, absolutely some of my faves. For hiking, trail running, walking around town, literally everything.
Next up is the Luna Sandals Mono, one of the brand's best sellers. Now, Alicia has tried Lunas before, albeit with a different sole, and found them super comfortable, but a bit wide for narrower feet. She just couldn't get them to hug her instep like she wanted. But I can see why she thought they were still great sandals. The footbed was comfortable, and despite how thick the soles are, 15 millimeters, these are actually surprisingly flexible. The straps are thin and soft, so pretty dang comfortable, but still feel durable, and the toe plug is probably the least irritating of any of the sandals I tested. The sole is a bit different on these. Instead of being solid rubber or whatever, they're kind of a dense foam rubber compound. It's weird, but it's super light and it works. I am curious to see how they hold up after a season or two though. Since the soles are a bit softer, it seems like they're gonna wear out faster, especially if you're running rocky trails in them. I can see the Oso Flacco sole, which we tested last time, being more durable. I do think the Lunas are the most comfortable right out of the gate. I mean, the padded heel strap was a nice touch. It took me a bit longer to get the fit dialed in initially, since it's just one continuous strap that you have to push and pull to get everything in the right place. But once I did, it was easy to get them on and off and tighten them via the top cinch strap, so no complaints there. These might be my favorite sandals overall, honestly.
Finally, we have the Earth Runners Primal sandals. Now, I've tested Earth Runners in the past, and while I've always liked the look, they weren't ever my favorite. However, that might have just changed, because sometimes you just have to get the right model and strap combo, and everything changes. But first things first, what makes Earth Runners unique is that they're grounding sandals, as in there's a copper disc that secures the toe plug to the sole, then super thin metal wire stitching in the actual straps themselves. Together, they keep you grounded, as in they let the extremely low frequency electromagnetic resonances of the earth enter through your feet and circulate through your body, which some studies suggest could have positive effects on inflammation, among other things. At the very least, you get a good mood boost. Regular shoes don't let those pulses through though. You usually have to be barefoot. So the idea is that not only will your feet be healthier and stronger in these barefoot sandals, but so will the rest of your body. But back to performance. Now, because of the thickness of the straps, these are some of the most secure sandals we tested. They don't loosen and they're not going anywhere once they're on your feet. Even when trail running, there's essentially no stretch to them. Now, that also means they might take a little longer to break in, but we think it's worth it because between the colors and sole thicknesses available, there's something for everyone, whether you want to hike in them, trail run or just hoof it around town. I've done all of those things, by the way. Plus, they don't look as much like hiking sandals, which makes them a great travel sandal. Now, this time around, I tried the Primal sole, which is one of the thinner options at 7.5 millimeters, and liked them so much better than the Circadian sole I tested last time, which was a bit thicker, so not as flexible, but more protective. I also went with the lifestyle laces. The performance laces are thicker and therefore a bit harder to break in and soften up, but honestly, I found these plenty durable and performance ready. Now, these were the narrowest of the bunch where the instep straps loop through, which is probably why I love them for trail running. They're super secure on my narrow feet, but if you do have wider feet, you may find them uncomfortable as you might be kind of stepping on the straps. Speaking of, they have one continuous strap, so they'll take a minute to get dialed in right out of the box, but once they are, they're really easy to tighten and loosen thanks to the adjustment clip on the side. Honestly, these are a stellar all-rounder. They're good for hiking and trail running, but also more stylish and travel-friendly. Bonus, they're also the least expensive of all the sandals on this list, so there you go.
So those are our favorite barefoot sandals for the season, but let's talk sizing for a sec, because sandal sizing can be all over the place. At least Alicia thinks so. She wears everything from a 6 in Xeros to a 7.5 in other sandals.
A true story. Fortunately, almost all of these brands have printable templates and sometimes even measurement instructions if you don't have access to a printer to help you figure out exactly what size you need. That way you don't have to keep buying pairs as trial and error to figure out your right size.
And do pay special attention too if they have custom or unisex sizing. For example, Bedrock and Shamma both have their own sizing, so you may not be ordering your usual numbered size.
Honestly, why can't we just move to European sizing for footwear? It's just so much easier. It makes sense, guys. Let's do that.
In any case, if you have any questions about these sandals, drop them in the comments and we'd be happy to answer.
I mean, we love talking about barefoot shoes.
Then we'd be stoked if you shared this with a friend or two who might be into hiking in sandals. And hit that like and subscribe button. We produce gear reviews like this all year long.
We do. And come follow us on Insta, Facebook, and X. We're at Terradrift. Easy. Then check out terradrift.com for even more written gear reviews and barefoot shoe comparisons. And if you're into that too, check out some of these other videos about barefoot hiking boots, how to transition to barefoot shoes, and more. There are lots more.
Then strap some barefoot sandals on your feet, get outside, and wander on.
Just don't forget the sunscreen. Yeah, you don't want your toesies to burn.